Are prime lenses really sharper and better quality than zooms? Let's find out on today's episode of
Ask David Bergman.
Hey there everybody, welcome back. Here I am, as always, answering your photography questions right here on Adorama TV. Today's question comes from Sarah K, and she wants to know, I've heard that it's better to use prime lenses than zooms because the quality is better. If I can only get one or the other to start out, which should I get? Thanks, Sarah, for sending that in. It's a good question because lens technology has changed quite a bit over the years. So what might have been true 20 years ago is very different today. There are also some other variables to consider, so let's sort it all out once and for all. First, real quick, let's make sure we're speaking the same language. Every lens has a focal length. You want to know exactly how that's calculated? It's actually pretty easy. Focal length is derived from the lens maker's equation, where the reciprocal of the focal length equals the refractive index minus 1 multiplied by the sum of the reciprocals of the radii of curvature of each optical surface, accounting for the principal plane separation in a thick lens system. You got all that? Well, okay then. So in real human terms, focal length just tells you how wide or zoomed in your lens sees the world. Low numbers like 14 millimeters or 24 millimeters are wide angle. You get a lot in the frame. Higher numbers like 200 millimeters or 400 millimeters are telephoto. Things look much closer than they actually are. Now, a prime lens is stuck at one focal length. That's it. There's no zooming. If you want to get closer, you just walk closer. Really old school that way. A zoom lens covers a whole range, so you can go from wide to tight just by twisting the barrel. It's really pretty convenient. And for a long time, that convenience also meant not as good. Zoom lenses had a reputation, and it wasn't a very good one. The serious photographers shot prime lenses only. Zooms were for, well, everyone else. Now, was that reputation deserved? Yeah, absolutely it was. Back in the film days, and even into the early digital days, zoom lenses were genuinely a compromise. I'm talking softer images, weird color fringing, dark corners, and apertures that would make a prime shooter laugh. You want to shoot f1.4 because you're in low light on a zoom lens? Yeah, good luck with that. The problem is that designing a lens that works well at one focal length is hard enough. Designing one that works well across a whole range of focal lengths is a completely different level of engineering. There's more glass elements, more moving parts, and more things that can go wrong. And for a long time, a lot of things did go wrong. Primes were sharper, faster, and just better. And photographers who cared about image quality mostly stuck with them. But then something happened. Computers got really good. Optical engineers started using computer-aided design to model lens formulas that would have been literally impossible to calculate by hand. Manufacturing got incredibly precise, lens coatings got better, and camera companies started pouring serious money into making zoom lenses that could actually compete with primes. And guess what? It worked. Now, I'm not going to tell you that all zoom lenses are great because they're not. So let's break them down into three categories because which tier you're in actually changes everything. Tier 1 is your entry-level kit lenses. Those are the ones that came in the box with your camera. For Canon shooters, something like the RFS 18 to 45 millimeter f4.5 to 6.3 that you get with the R10 or the R50. That's a perfectly fine lens and is honestly better than the kit lenses used to be. But the corners can go a little soft, distortion is real, chromatic aberration shows up if you're looking for it, and that variable aperture means as you zoom in that you're going to lose some light. Now, none of that makes it a terrible lens, it's just that it has limits, and at some point you're going to bump into them. Now, tier 2 is your mid-range zooms. These are the lenses you actually go out and buy separately. Something like the Canon RF 24 to 105 f4 to 7.1. It's got better glass, a better build, and is noticeably sharper across the frame. It's still a variable aperture and still not weather sealed, but is a real step up. For most photographers in most situations, you're going to be hard pressed to see the difference between this and a prime in a finished photo. Tier 3 is professional grade glass. We're talking Canon's L series, the 2470 2.8, the 70-200 2.8, those big telephoto zooms, all of those. These are serious lenses. They're expensive, sometimes heavy, built like a tank, and optically in a completely different league. Edge-to-edge sharpness, rock-solid build, weather sealing, and fast fixed apertures. If you've never shot with an L series zoom, prepare to have your mind changed about what a zoom lens can actually do. So, how does each tier actually stack up against an equivalent prime? At the entry level, primes win. Hands down, it's not even close. Put a kit zoom next to a prime at the same focal length, and the prime is going to be sharper, snappier, and just better looking. That's simply the reality. At the mid-range, it starts to get a little murky. For real-world shooting, meaning actual photos of actual things that you're actually going to use somewhere, the gap is close enough that most people would never notice. The differences do exist, but you really have to go looking for them. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather be out making photos than pixel peeping at test charts. Now, at the professional level is where things really even out. Modern pro zooms are some of the sharpest camera lenses ever made. Could you find differences in a lab test? Maybe, maybe not. Are those differences anything that anyone will see in an image? No way, not a chance. Now, one important thing to say here is that primes also come in all price ranges. An inexpensive prime is not automatically going to beat a pro zoom. We're talking about comparable lens tiers here, like a $200 prime versus a $2,000 zoom. It's not a fair fight in either direction. Hey, quick sidebar, if you've got a photography question you want me to answer, just head to askdavidbergman.com. Please submit it there right on the site. If you want to keep up with everything I'm doing, thedavidbergman.com has links to my socials, my free email list, a ton of educational videos, and a few discount and affiliate links. And if you're enjoying this video, go ahead and hit like, subscribe to Adorama's YouTube channel, and tap that bell icon for notifications. It really helps us keep making free photography content for you every single week. Okay, so image quality wise, at the pro level, primes and zooms are basically the same, but there are still some real differences worth talking about, and they have nothing to do with sharpness charts. The biggest thing primes still have going for them is aperture, like really wide apertures. We're talking f1.2, 1.4, 1.8. Most pro zooms top out at f2.8. Canon does make the insanely cool 2870 f2.0, which is kind of a miracle of optical engineering. But that's the exception. Generally speaking, if you want to shoot wide open in low light or get that super creamy, shallow depth of field background blur, primes are going to have a significant advantage. They're also smaller and lighter. A single prime is almost always going to be easier to carry than a zoom covering that same focal length. If you're traveling or just don't want to feel like you're carrying a small child around your neck all day, that is going to matter. And primes are generally less expensive than a comparable quality zoom, sometimes by quite a lot. So if budget is a real consideration, which, let's be honest, it always is, primes can get you a lot of optical performance per dollar. Now, there's also this other thing that's a little bit harder to quantify, which is the creative discipline of shooting with a prime. When you literally cannot zoom, you have to move, you have to think, you have to commit to a perspective. I find that shooting with a prime makes me more deliberate and more engaged with what I'm doing. There's something about having fewer options that makes you use the options that you have better. Now, what do zooms have over prime lenses? There are still a couple things, and obviously the biggest one is versatility. One lens instead of three. Fewer swaps, less time digging through your bag, and fewer opportunities to get a speck of dust on your sensor. And for a lot of types of photography, that flexibility isn't just nice to have, it's non-negotiable. You don't want to be constantly swapping lenses at a wedding ceremony or a concert or a sporting event. You're gonna miss the moment, I promise you. I've been there. And most modern zoom lenses, especially at the mid-range and pro level, have built-in image stabilization. That lets you shoot at slower shutter speeds without camera shake, which gives you back some of those stops of light you lose from the narrower aperture. It doesn't help with a moving subject, but for anything that's standing still, it closes the low light gap more than you might expect. For my work with Luke Combs on tour, I carry two Canon EOS R1 bodies, one with the 24-105 f4 and one with the 100-500 f4.5 to 7.1. Wide to super telephoto without ever changing a lens. Every once in a while though, I still like to throw on a prime like the 50-1.2 just to play around. Open that thing up all the way and you get this incredible three-dimensional quality where the subject just pops out of the frame. It's not practical for shooting a whole show, but sometimes I just want to have a little fun with my gear. So Sarah, you asked two questions, so I'll make sure I've answered both. First, are primes sharper and better quality than zooms? Well, like I've said, it depends which primes and zooms you're talking about. Entry level, yes, primes generally are going to win. Mid-range, it's really close enough that it doesn't matter too much in the real world, but professional level, they're basically the same. That's a pretty wild thing to say compared to where we were 20 years ago, but here we are. Second, if you can only get one to start out, you asked me which one should you get. Well, if you're going to be shooting events, weddings, sports, or family gatherings, anything where things are happening fast and you can't miss moments, get a zoom. The flexibility is worth more than any optical edge a prime might have. A missed shot is a missed shot no matter how sharp your lens is. If you're going to be shooting portraits, street photography, still life, or anything where you have time to move around and think, a prime lens is a fantastic choice. You've got better low light performance, shallower depth of field, it's less expensive, and it can be super fun to use too. Now, if you have absolutely no idea what you want to shoot yet, just get a zoom. It lets you experiment across a wider range of situations and figure out what you actually love. Once you know, you can always add a prime for the specific look you're after. Most photographers honestly end up with both eventually. They're really just different tools for different jobs. Having both types of lenses means you're covered for almost anything. What do you all think? Do you prefer shooting with primes, with zooms, or a mix of both? Which should you get first, and would you do it differently knowing what you know now? Let me know down in the comments below so we can talk about it. And while you're clicking around, check out the video above where I compare an 85mm prime against a 70-200mm zoom for portraits. I go deep on depth of field and bokeh, and it's a great companion to everything I talked about here today. Thanks so much for watching Adorama TV. I'll see you next time right here on Ask David Bergman.